festival celebrated all over the world by the Muslim faithfuls. And so I think it's right to say Happy Salah to the world. Happy Salah to our Muslim brothers and sisters. In Nigeria, we wish you all the best at this time. You know, whatever, I mean, the messages of this time, we hope, and the lessons as well, it resonates in the day-to-day activities of Nigeria. So today is a public holiday, and Monday as well. It has been declared 6th of June and 9th of June by the Minister of Interior for the federal government. So it's a special one, and of course, it is the TGF edition as well. Femi Ojo is my name. You are welcome. So, Daniel,
yeah,
happy Salah.
Happy Salah. Good morning.
That's it. Good morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, good morning to all our esteemed viewers. Good morning, beautiful people. It's a beautiful Friday morning. And
yes,
of course, I am beautiful. Emeka Daniel is my name. Thank you for joining us once again on Morning Spring. This is Western Spring Television. It's a great day. I mean, it's a happy day.
It is.
We are celebrating Salah.
It is.
I said we are celebrating
all
Salah.
Of us.
Yeah, because whether you like it or not, I'm celebrating as well. Every day is celebration for all of us. As long as we are alive, like I always say, we should always keep hope alive. It will only get better as far as Nigeria is concerned. Here on Morning Spring, we bring you the newspaper reviews where we, look at the news, the top stories, the analysis, and of course, we dive into conversations around our nation and how to move our nation forward. We speak to important people. We have powerful conversations, and we say it as it is. We are as professional as it can get. Thank you once again for joining us on the program this morning.
Yeah, and we take it from, yesterday before we ended the show, we said all of our Muslim brothers here at this end of the company, this is the time, today is the day they should represent.
Absolutely.
From today to tomorrow, all of them, they know themselves, you don't have to call them out. And so there is no excuse of the big Salah. This is the biggest Salah.
I hope they bought their RAM. Even if one person, here's what I mean for me, even if one person, because we know the situation of things in Nigeria, even if one person cannot afford a RAM, I mean, they should come together and buy a RAM. And buy a RAM.
Of course, not just the RAM. This celebration comes with implications. There must be implications.
Absolutely.
You know what
implications. I remember in my former organization, I mean, it was Salah, and I mean, the Muslim guys, they were like, Dan, you have to buy a RAM, you can afford it. I'm like, but I'm not a Muslim. Why should I buy a RAM?
Well, so much to really talk about today. And from the pages of the newspaper, we are ready. But one common denominator that I have been seeing for the past 2 days now is the heavy traffic on the highways.
Absolutely.
It's been a story of agony for many persons. Even here in Oshobo, you need to see the traffic 2 days ago along our road here. So when you go into the main town, you don't want to imagine what the traffic will be. I saw the situation report of an ex-user on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It was a shutdown. It was a shutdown. And Kano, Abuja,
Abuja, yeah, something else. Yeah, gridlock right there. Journey that takes about 2.5 hours. People are spending 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours on that journey. It simply shows that a lot of people are making trips. A lot of people are traveling. They are going home. I think this is one they call Ileya, right?
Yes.
So everyone is going home.
Let's go home.
Apart from those of us here, who can go home.
Oshobo's second axis as well was a shutdown. Yesterday as well. But then, it's not just about, there will be heavy traffic. And that's why, government agencies, traffic law enforcement agencies, even the security agencies as well, deploy more men on the road, for orderliness. There is this lack of patience among Nigerians, where that one is not a government thing. Actually, well, it's a people thing.
I'm not new to that. I grew up in Lagos, so if you talk about lack of patience, I see road rage every day.
On the Oshogbo Second road, right? You need to see how many lanes were created. There were 2 adjacent lanes leading into one, and instead of people going this way to keep going, by the time they want to negotiate the other way to get into the main road, then these people are coming with 3 lanes. These ones are coming with 2 lanes. The one coming from the other side is blocked. And everybody is hooked. And then you begin to see, Nigerians can speak grammar.
At the end of the day, they get to spend more time on the road by doing the wrong thing.
Because somebody will just park his car, off the ignition, and then get out of the car to say, I will show you I'm the one in charge here. But then if you see the military guys passing with their Layad and their Koboko, everybody will make way. Must we get to that level? If we, by the time the military officers are booting everybody, hey, move it, get out, get it. In less than 15 minutes, that place will be clear because somebody will come with force and beat somebody's father. The love of somebody's life is being beaten.
Because it seems people only respond to force, and quite unfortunately,
these are the
we should
issues.
Do things normally.
And so sometimes you even see some of those road safety officers, they are tired because they won't bind you. They won't put gun at your head. Or what they can give is instruction. Yeah. Please let these people
sometimes
go.
They just get out and just watch you.
Because they are tired. You will see them sweating. Some of them will just go back to their car because they are fed up with people's shenanigans, especially this nonsense English Nigerians speak. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Are you having memory loss? Don't you know who you are? These are some of the issues, and everybody's time is wasted. These are some of, and that's the situation report in many of the highways right now.
Yeah.
And some people might not even, their own layer, we meet them on the highway today because they are not yet home. And many of those things, but then
sometimes we've had traffic situations in this country where people sleep over on the road. So I guess
many instances.
Yes, if it gets so terrible, perhaps they can actually slaughter their rams on the road and have their celebrations.
That is if the ram is
on the road.
Because sometimes you give somebody money to get it ready at the other side, so that when you come, you can do the needful. You can't be traveling with the ram. The ram will die there. The stress will make the ram to die, and so the thing will be useless. You can't cook on that road. You have to throw it away. Two things are involved. When there are long queues, not just queues, gridlock, shut down like that, there's the security implications. Men of the other world might rob. There have been instances where people are robbed and they have nowhere to run to.
Yeah.
Another issue is, God forbid, tanker or fuel explosion. The disaster will be terrible. Just because some people, Nigerians, will not just hear what. That's the way we say it. They're not the hear what.
Quite unfortunate.
That's just the thing.
Something that's caught to my attention.
10 minutes, just maybe 50 cars in 5 minutes. 50 cars, go, hold on. Another 50 cars. Before I know what's happening, less than 1 or 2 hours, the whole place is clear. But somebody will tell you can't tell me what to do.
We used to have a lot of traffic wardens before. When I was growing up, what happened? I'm saying less and less of them. Traffic wardens, you see them controlling the traffic.
The ones we call yellow fever, right?
Exactly.
The ones with the yellow top and black
but I've not been seeing them. I've not been seeing them.
I don't know. When you see many of them, they are old. They are older, and maybe many persons doesn't want to do. I'm not seeing an under 30 guy do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's because they don't have that patience.
Have they not been
because somebody will just kick somebody's.
Because before now, you see them as strategic locations controlling the traffic, but I've not been seeing them. Like I said, something has caught to my attention. Just yesterday, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, talking about Nyesom Wike, he was at Obafemi Awolowo University to deliver a lecture, distinguished personality lecture. And right there in the hall, 2 people decided to protest. They weren't really making any noise. They just raised placards. 2 people, Oladepo Joshua and Ejike Kelechi. Those are the 2 students identified in the newspaper report as raising placards, telling the minister to compensate those who demolished their houses in Abuja. So they were whisked away by security agencies. One of the students who gave her own account, her own report, said the security agencies minister actually wanted to take those students away, but they had to plead, and they were taken to the school's security base. Now, the school has come out, the school spokesman has come out to say that no, that's not the case, that they actually took those students away just to protect them from being attacked by their own fellow students. Because according to him, the fellow students were enjoying the lecture, so why should 2 people who do not agree with the stance of the minister, why should they protest? Again, some will interpret it as people should be free. People have their right to protest, to show their dissatisfaction. If they are not satisfied, people should have the right to protest. You don't necessarily have to repress them, because some will see this as repression, trying to silence them. But the minister also came out to say, well, that wasn't the case, that they were just there to be taken away just to protect them for their own good. But whatever the case may be, I think Nigerians, and including students of higher institutions, have the right to protest if they want to protest. So please, institutions should not stop students from protesting.
All right.
It should not stop them in any way. Recall the case when the First Lady visited somewhere in Delta State, where the students decided to protest in their own way. And the school authority tried to, punish those students. It had to take the First Lady telling them, no, those students have the right. That's their own opinion. So please let us not, stifle opposition voices. We are human beings. Yesterday we were talking about human rights. People have the right to protest if they want to protest, as long as it is peaceful.
Right. And we'll take this quick break. When we return, we'll take a quick look at the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. We start with the Punch newspaper. The Punch for today, and we have it here. All right, and it says from here, Salah, Tinubu promises economic rebound, urges prayers for soldiers. Salah, Tinubu promises economic rebound, urges prayers for soldiers, right? And the rider that says IG moves to secure Eid prayers as governance. Atiku, others greet Muslims, gridlock worsens. We said that earlier. IG moves to secure Eid prayers as governance. Atiku, others greet Muslims, and gridlock worsens. And here, at the top of that, the top strip, Trump's new bill may slash Nigeria's $21 billion remittances, and the USSD war. Telcos oppose airtime charges for bank transfers. There was this news that telcos are being, authorized, or banks should, deduct their USSD, charges, their bank transfer charges via airtime, and telcos are saying no to that. I wonder how that one will work. How about somebody? It's a lot, actually.
Okay, via airtime instead of directly from the bank account.
Instead of the bank account. Yeah, because there's been this trouble that telcos are having a hard time getting their funds from the banks as well. That banks are not remitting properly, and that's become a problem. So the thing, possibly when you use the USSD, the telcos will just deduct, the banks rather will just do it from your airtime, and the conversation is neither here nor there, and these are some of the issues. But that will be all.
Well, if the telcos do not permit that, there is no way the banks will have access.
Of course, they have to permit. Exactly. They have to agree.
Exactly. That's the issue for that.
Yeah, and that will be all from the front page of the Punch.
And from the Punch newspaper, we move to the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Salah. Travelers spend hours on Abuja-Kaduna highway. Salah. Travelers spend hours on Abuja-Kaduna highway. Of course, a major gridlock on the Abuja-Kaduna highway yesterday caused many commuters traveling home for the Salah holidays to spend hours on the road. It was gathered that some passengers spend about 5 to 6 hours on the journey, which ordinarily should be about 2.5 hours, just 2.5 hours. Travelers are spending 5 to 6 hours as a result of the gridlock right there. Talking about Salah people traveling to celebrate Salah with their family members. Away from that, still on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Eid al-Adha, Tinubu, Atiku, governors preach peace. Eid al-Adha, Tinubu, Atiku, governors preach peace. Away from that, how 300 Nigerians died in 6 days. How 300 Nigerians died in 6 days. Quite unfortunate one right there. You might want to check out that story on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Army chief makes case for early voting for military personnel. Army chief makes case for early voting for military personnel. You can check out that story on page 10, talking about the rights of military personnel to take part in elections. Away from that, moving on to other stories. And right there at the bottom strip, the middle of the page, you can see the picture of that gridlock right there along Abuja-Kaduna Highway yesterday. People trapped for hours on the road, those trying to make that trip to celebrate Salah with their family members. And finally, from the front page of the Daily Trust this morning, we have the life and times of Professor Jibril Aminu. Life and times of Professor Jibril Aminu. Of course, he was a professor of cardiology and also a politician who passed away just yesterday. You can read up that story on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And that'll be all from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. All
right, a quick one from the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune for today. We must control illicit arms to defeat terrorists, NSA. From the Nigerian Tribune, we must control illicit arms to defeat terrorists and the that's coming from the NSA, as federal government destroys over 3,867 illegal weapons. All right, and bad leadership, biggest challenge against Nigeria's development. Wike, bad leadership, biggest challenge against Nigeria's development. Wike says Tinubu capable of building Nigeria over dreams. Interesting one there. And Idel Kabir, don't lose hope. Tinubu tells Nigerians, don't lose hope. Tinubu tells Nigerians. As governors arrives, Speaker Atiku, others congratulate Muslims. Governors arrest Speaker Atiku, others congratulate Muslims. And of course, the Tribune as well, congratulating the people. You could see the picture of the ram there, you know, quite expensive. I learned averagely now, you know, averagely, right, a ram sells, you know, between 800,000 and 1.2 million, averagely. Maybe some might be lesser, some might be higher, but averagely. Just the kind of ram that somebody will say, oh, you have done well.
Just a ram. But again, why is it so? What's the cost of production? That's the question.
You might.
Why is it so? What's the cost of production?
When you ask these questions, that will not be answered.
Let's be pragmatic, because sometimes you look at it, is it that people cannot rear rams in different parts of the country? No, I've done.
Have you been a shepherd?
But again, I know they are not eating synthetic foods. They are eating natural food. They are eating grass and all of that. So if you consider, yes, if you consider the cost of production, somebody's laughing here. If you consider the cost of production, you sometimes you begin to wonder, why are they so expensive?
There will soon be another Idel Kabir. That will be next year. So between now and then, you see this cost of production, factor it together, get some units of rams, and let's see what you come up with by next year, so that you know you won't be frowning and say, what's the cost of production?
You remember I told you I saw one. I saw some rams going for as high as 3.5 million rams.
All right, that will be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, we move straight to the front page of this day newspaper this morning. Tinubu, Nigeria has secured over $2.2 billion for health sector reforms. Tinubu, Nigeria has secured over $2.2 billion for health sector reforms. Still talking about loans right there. $2.2 billion for health sector reforms. With the rider, inaugurates $300 million Afrexim Bank-funded medical center in Abuja. Inaugurates $300 million Afrexim Bank-funded medical center in Abuja. With another rider right there. $75 million set aside as endowment funds for research. $75 million set aside as endowment fund for research. I mean, we have $75 million set aside for research. Won't you go into some research? I'm interested in research. Perhaps they should tell us how we can get some of those funds. I mean, we can do some research.
Now, your motives are clear. It's not for research. It's for the grant.
We know what happens. See,
I don't know what happens beyond the research.
There was a time some lecturers, got some grants for research. Because of that, I won't mention my school now. Okay. They got some grants for research. Guess what they did? They all bought new cars.
Okay. Where's your school again?
I won't say that for now.
But you can mention other people's school. You mentioned
we're talking about grants now. We're talking about so it won't be as if I'm calling them. Now. So it won't be as if I'm calling them house.
But you mentioned OAU earlier.
I'm proud of my school.
You mentioned OAU earlier.
But for the sake of
some 2 students who are picked up. Right?
Yes. For the sake of the grants,
but now some lecturers bought car in your school. You are hiding the name. It's okay.
Okay, away from that, on the front page of This Day newspaper this morning. At inauguration of Lekki Seaport Access Road, Tinubu pledges more funds for infrastructure development. You find a story on page 8. That's at the inauguration of Lekki Seaport Access Road. Tinubu pledges more funds for infrastructure development. You find that on page 8, rather, of This Day newspaper. And finally, from the front page of This Day newspaper this morning, in Salah message, President tells Nigerians not to lose hope, says toughest days over. President urged Nigerians not to lose hope, tells Nigerians not to lose hope, says toughest days over. You'll find that story on page 34 of This Day newspaper. And that'll be all from the front page of This Day newspaper. That also brings us to a conclusion of the newspaper review. I guess you wanted to add something right there.
Yeah, I guess we still have The Nation.
The Nation,
yeah,
all right.
The Nation newspaper, Tinubu Defense Legacy Roads Project. Funding will be adequate. Tinubu Defense Legacy Road Project funding will be adequate. And Eid, President seeks prayers for troops battling terrorists. President seeks prayers for troops battling terrorists, all right. And Army backs early voting bill. You know, I saw the Chief of Army Staff speaking about that yesterday. I think it would be good so that you can start early for essential workers, people like us, you know, that, you know, during those times we're always in the line of duty. If we can start early, people like us will have the opportunity to vote. The police, you know, pressmen, doctors, nurses, before you go to your place of work.
Absolutely.
Apart from the regular 8 o'clock, 9 a.m., you know, starting time.
And again,
and I think
more importantly, I think we really need to get to that point where those on essential duties can actually have access to vote from anywhere.
Yeah.
Talking about digital voting system now, where you can vote
voting ahead,
right at your office. Or
like the one they do in the US,
absolutely,
in which you vote by posting.
Absolutely.
So then we must work with the infrastructure, because if it's the post office, the person will have been sworn in before your voting will get to the voting center. These are some of the issues. Now, automatic tickets in APC will consolidate democracy, says MPF. Interesting. And tributes flow for Jibril Aminu, of course, the life and times of the man, the legacy of Professor Aminu there. And, you know, one thing I will say before we go for this break is now, today is Eid. There will be Eid prayers. Maybe around 10 a.m. or it depends, in different parts of the country. We hope politicians and their handlers will behave themselves at those Eid. Because we've had instances in which politicians move mad at Eid grounds. You know, sometimes because of certain arrangements or because of differences in political views. And the sanctity, the sacredness of the prayer and of that particular process is disrupted just because politicians they come in with the barrage of their retinue of all these yes guys, yes men, and they just disrupt the whole process. It's supposed to be a religious gathering. It is a religious gathering, sacred, and should be sanctimonious, and everybody should behave them. You know why I'm saying that? Because politics is almost here. And we always see these things, especially during politics, I mean election year, a year before the election, across everywhere, they should behave themselves. It's about worship. It should remain that way.
And apart from that also, I think the celebration is also to remind them, we've been talking about peace. We should be peaceful. And again, to look out, I mean, for their neighbors. There are those who are hungry. Lots of Nigerians are hungry. Some don't have even food to eat. So it's a time to share love. To show love to the less privileged this time around. No, politicians, it doesn't really matter if you go out there with your camera. Some of them are fond of going, fine, you can go with your cameras. Just still show love to the people. Make sure you show love to, especially to those who need it the most. Make sure it goes round.
That's right. And we take a pause right now. When we return, there is a group of people called the Patriots, and they are asking for something very important, and the world needs to hear. You will hear that after now. Stay with us.